Uh, 12/1/26.
December 7th, 1941, a date which will live in infamy.
What do you remember about it?
It was a shock. Hard to conceive. Went to Fort Dix and then arrived at Camp Blanding April 7th at 10 a.m. And then on April the 14th, a sad day, as the company left for the West Coast and South Pacific, and I was left to police the area. After basic training, which was really rough because they were giving us the training for jungle warfare, and one of the hardest parts of it was going through the obstacle courses under fire, and one of the men in the company was killed going through the obstacle course and everything on a forced march. At the end of the training session, there was a 20-mile hike with full gear, and after or before I got to the end, I had blisters on the sole of my feet, the size of a $50. I almost didn't make it, but with the encouragement of one of my friends, I got through that. My father was in War I and was gassed. Well, one of the hardest parts of the training at Fort Blanding, they were figuring on the Japanese using gas over there in the islands. So we were used as guinea pigs, and it was June. They had impregnated long johns for the protection of the skin and everything, and we had to wear those out in that heat for a period of time, just so that they could evaluate the benefit of impregnating the uniforms.
Wow.
I was on my way home for furlough for 30 days, after which I had to report back to Fort Meade, Maryland, for processing, then on to Camp Shanks. Left New York on the troop ship Berry on October 19th, and really enjoyed the ocean, everything but the hold of the ship. After we had pulled out of the harbor at New York on the ship, flash, disaster at sea. At exactly 10:40 yesterday, upon entering a rolling fog bank, the ship rammed the fishing trawler Bedford out of Boston, Massachusetts. In a short 3 minutes, the 170-ton diesel-powered steel hull went to the bottom. Major Allen, troop commander, reported that our ship incurred only minor damage to the bow plates, However, the ship's master feels it wiser to return to New York, put up for repairs, lest rough weather be met in the succeeding days of the proposed voyage. We felt it wise to mention at this point that all wild rumors of Army personnel going overboard were entirely unfounded and untrue. The Medford was manned by a crew of 17. It was impossible to locate those 6 members of the crew reported to be on the deck at the time of the collision. Of the 11 survivors picked up, 1 man was dead on arrival. The fact that the entire ship's complement was undergoing a fire drill at the time of the accident expedited the lowering of lifeboats in 4.5 minutes. Accurately, information relative to the disposition of the troops is unavailable at this time. Major Allen predicted that if another vessel is prepared to leave, we shall be transferred to it. If such is not the case, we shall probably return to the staging area to wait embarkation. If possible, the composition of the group will remain the same.
You were on that ship, right?
Right.
So what did you think? Did you feel it? Did you?
Oh yes, definitely.
What was the sound? Metal on metal, or?
No, the fog was like pea soup, and there was just a sudden jar like that.
And what did you have to do? Were you part of the general quarters? What was the activity on the ship?
No, it was a troop ship
Okay.
with 6 bunks, one above the other, and really packed in tight.
So you knew it, obviously there was something going on. Were there sirens or?
No, there should have been some fog horns blowing, but that didn't take place. We were all through our basic, ready to move out, and the Army picked at random, just checked people off to remain there to police the area for the next group of recruits coming in. So I was checked off and stayed there, and the rest went right to the West Coast. Well, unbeknownst to me, and them as well, my record up to that time was with the group that had left. You can...
Yeah, your paperwork went with the group, yeah.
Yeah.
Only the Army can do stuff like that.
So here, after spending 7 months and 21 days, I received an honorable discharge.
And you were still in the service?
Yeah. Still in the service.
See, but that makes perfect sense to the U.S. Army.
I was given the liberty to re-enlist.
The liberty to re-enlist.
And I had to report to Camp Pickett, Virginia. After I re-enlisted, we were given rifles again and had to go through all the basic training because the Army doesn't have any record of any basic training that I'd ever taken.
This is bizarre.
The joy of it all, right?
Right. left Camp Pickett for Camp Kilmore and on to the Vaster Victory, bound for the European Theater of Operations. And trip, very sick, and arrived at Le Havre on February 27th. There was a storm in the North Sea off from the White Cliffs of England, and those troop ships had an area in the bow where there were 30 or 40 water closets, toilets, and on each side of them there were handles here to hold on to, and most all of those were taken. And you can't imagine what it would be like if you were in your bunk and those men were throwing up above you. It was rough. It was real good duty there in Vienna. I ended up in the motor pool, although sometimes when the general would travel, we would have a motorcycle contingent out in front of him, you know, to keep things open and everything.
So you had some contact with General Clark then?
Mm-hmm. Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I had an attitude problem, though, and lived real wild life. Wow.
You?
Yeah.
Can't imagine it.
Yeah. And had a roommate. Well, one of the ways the Americans prospered was getting our ration of cigarettes and selling those. And he went AWOL with a truckload of cigarettes once.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
They'd be worth thousands of dollars.
Yeah. He was from Chicago. Well, it was quite a bit different than things are today. Quite a lot different. The object, real purpose of our protection system from the military is for it's different. It was for our protection at that time, rather than to be involved in a country for some other reason, which we are today.
Best of all, you had a chance to meet and marry Eve. That's
Right.
the highlight.
Yeah. Ralph Robinson served with the 202nd Military Police Unit over in the Army of Occupation in Vienna, Austria. And one of the benefits of being over there, I married my war bride.